Hello and good morning. My name is Andy Griffiths and it's my pleasure this morning to welcome you to this live webinar on behalf of Q Associates and Rubrik. Today's event will focus on ransomware protection with specific reference to the innovative technology that Rubrik now provides to protect organizations from this increasing threat to IT services and critical data. At Q Associates, we provide specialist IT services to over 700 organizations throughout the UK, working with many of the world's largest and smartest technology companies. We operate the UK's first fully accredited Rubrik support centre and work together with Rubrik to manage and protect customer data across a growing number of data centre and cloud environments. We consider Rubrik to be one of the most exciting and dynamic technology organisations to emerge over recent years, and I hope that today's short event will give you some sense of the value they bring. I'm joined this morning by three of Rubrik's finest, Rob Egley, Juliet McMullen and Stu Davidson. And over the next 30 minutes or so, we're hoping to provide an overview and demonstration of Rubrik's ransomware protection capabilities. We've opened up the question box, so do please ask any questions that you have during the event, and we will answer as many as we can. At Q, we run an annual survey of senior IT professionals in the UK, and cybersecurity has featured consistently as the #1 area of focus when formulating IT strategies. It's also a top 2 concern that IT leaders have, right up there alongside budgetary pressure. So I hope this presentation will be of real relevance to you all. Thank you for joining us, and Rob, over to you for the next part of today's presentation.
Thanks, Andy, and morning all. I'm now going to run through the presentation, so do the first few slides, and then I'll pass on to Juliet, my colleague, to run through a bit more detail on the ransomware product. And then give you a bit of a flavour of the interface through the demo system as well. So as Andy says, we're going to touch on a bit of an introduction to the product, give an overview of the Rubrik Polaris Radar product, which is our ransomware recovery product. We'll give you the demo, and then we'll do some next steps and questions at the end, which Andy will run. So 2 weeks ago, we ran through Rubrik's cloud data management platform. And to recap, this is a single software platform that delivers backup, instant recovery, archival, search, analytics, compliance, and copy data management in one secure fabric across data centers and cloud. We highlighted 3 key benefits, which are simplify backup and recovery, accelerate cloud adoption, enable automation at scale. So today's session is concentrating on our SaaS platform Polaris and specifically ransomware recovery. Rubrik Polaris operationalizes all your data situated in your distributed environment into a robust metadata framework and organizes all your business information to make it discoverable and usable no matter where it is. We then take this metadata and drive value back to our customers with 5 applications. One of which is Polaris Radar, our ransomware recovery offering. So why would this be needed in our cloud data management solution? It's because this is a global problem that all organizations face, and the FBI have the ransomware market at $1 billion plus today. So organizations are paying, but why is this? It's because organizations are facing 3 issues when hit. Lengthy downtime, and we have the average from Forrester currently at 7.3 days, which just isn't good enough in the current climate and what businesses are asking. The second one is the ability to recover. We're not able to in a lot of cases. So ransomware now targeting online backups, encrypting or deleting, then completely wiping this from the business's infrastructure, which again is a massive concern. It's then a lack of visibility and the scope of damage to the business when they have been hit, and organizations need this. And what we'll show you later on in the slide is how we can actually do this. But to set the scene and actually reiterate this further, this was highlighted even more in a recent survey that Computer Weekly ran with 150 enterprises in the UK that had been hit with ransomware. And one of the questions was, thinking of your organization, what would be the hardest part of recovering from ransomware attack? And the 3 things at the top were speed of data recovery, assessing the damage, and reliability of data recovery. So it really does reiterate those 3 points that I've just mentioned on the previous slide. And what we'll now show you through Juliet's demonstration and some key points around the features of our ransomware recovery product is how Rubrik can help with this. So can now pass on to Juliet to go through our approach.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so as we all know, despite prevention measures, intrusion detection systems, etc., attacks still happen, be they external ransomware attacks or even malicious actions from within a company. And as Rob has just said, major concerns and challenges for organizations around ransomware are how long it takes to discover an infection, manually identifying the scope of the impact, and the days, if not weeks, it can take to restore to a clean state. And what Rubrik have done is basically turn the metadata that we hold from customer backups into a business asset that can help organizations to recover quickly from such an attack. And our approach addresses all three of these challenges. So firstly, around the piece about impact visibility and detecting and assessing the damage, we provide file level impact analysis, so you can quickly see exactly which applications and files were impacted and where they are located. And sitting behind this is AI-driven detection, where we use machine learning algorithms running against the backup metadata to alert on any anomalous activity. And then the second part of our approach is around this piece about immutability and the reliability of the backup data. We have a natively immutable file system, which means our backups can't be encrypted or deleted, which therefore means that you can rely on them to be able to recover to a clean point in time before any attack happened. And then the third part of that approach is around the speed of data recovery. We provide near instant recovery using these highly reliable backups. You can just select, the impacted applications and files, specify the desired location, and then restore to the most recent clean versions with just one click from that same interface. And as Rob said, this is all accessed through our Radar application, which sits in our Polaris SaaS platform. And I'll show you this interface now so that you can see exactly how we provide this detection and recoverability capability. So Lucy, if you can just give me control and I'll share my screen to show that. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, so going back to those three sort of pillars of how we do the ransomware remediation for you is firstly around impact visibility and detecting and assessing the damage. This is the first challenge, which is always, of course, identifying any anomalous behavior that might indicate that a ransomware attack or malicious behavior has occurred in the first place. And with Radar, customers are alerted to any suspicious activity as soon as it's detected, as you can see here. So what's behind this, as I said, is anomaly-based intrusion detection at the data layer. So as soon as your workloads are protected by Rubrik and the first backups are taken, the software is then applying machine learning algorithms against the backup metadata to establish a baseline, so that after the initial ingest of the backup data, any anomalies in terms of file system scans, entropy changes, encryption, etc., are quickly flagged as suspicious and in need of investigation. And this might be something like, a backup is usually a certain size, but it suddenly becomes much larger or smaller, or files are now encrypted in the next backup compared to the one before, things that indicate that suspicious activity might have taken place. And of course, the next part of this challenge is getting visibility into what has been compromised in an attack. Even before you get to the point of trying to recover any encrypted or compromised data, it can take a significant amount of time and effort to actually identify which applications and systems have been affected in your environment. But because your data backups are, of course, the one part of your infrastructure that touches all your workloads, we can use that to quickly show you where you may have been attacked. And as you can see, this visibility is presented to you in a very clear and concise manner, showing any systems where Radar has detected suspicious activity, so you can quickly understand the scope or blast radius, if you like, of what has been affected. So if we drill down into one of these systems where something has been alerted, we compare the post-attack snapshot with previous backups to see what was added or deleted or modified. And you get various bits of information here that tell you what the system has detected, which might indicate a ransomware attack. And then you're invited to investigate that further, so you can drill down into the snapshot. And you then get the option, to investigate the snapshot where the changes have happened and can drill right down into the file system to quickly see what damage has been done and where. So if I just show you that, you can quickly see where the radar system has identified possible ransomware issues. And so you can see exactly what you need to recover and where it's located right down into file system level granularity. So I can go right down to individual files which may have been encrypted or deleted or what have you. And this forensic level of detail into what was impacted means that you can almost surgically recover impacted files without having to do any kind of manual differentials or time-consuming analysis. And this approach, of course, also minimizes the risk of any data loss from having to do blanket mass restores in a panic. And of course, it saves you a massive amount of recovery time and gets those RTOs right down. Obviously, it's your data. We can't make decisions about which data is most critical to you and what needs to be recovered in what order. But what we can do is allow you to quickly see what has been affected so that you can make those decisions in a more effortless manner yourself, instead of what normally would have been a very manual process. So I can sort of have a look through and quickly select maybe the top files that I need to recover or send back to the CEO or what have you as part of my ransomware remediation process. And then the second piece, of course, as I mentioned, is the reliability of the backups and the immutability of the backups, and hence any potential data recovery that you get. So the basis for all this comes back to this second pillar of our approach to cybersecurity, which is the baked-in immutability of our backups. Because ransomware is now targeting people's backups, this, of course, brings the ability to recover using traditional backups into question. We've seen a number of cases now in the UK where people have been hit by ransomware that specifically targets their accessible backups. And once your backups have been polluted, it then becomes almost impossible to recover from. So let's remind ourselves what we mean by immutable backups. An immutable object is one whose state cannot be changed or modified after it's been created, and that sounds ideal for backups, right? You don't want them to be tampered with after you've taken them, otherwise what's the point of having them? But actually, many backup systems are Windows-based, and so by definition are using a read-write file system. And Rubrik realised that this isn't ever really going to give you that guaranteed baked-in immutability. So we developed our own write-only file system for storing Rubrik backups, and that's our Atlas file system, which underpins this whole Radar product. And it gives that built-in immutability to Rubrik backups and prevents any access to the backup data after it's been taken. There are some other features that further enhance this baked-in immutability as well, such as it's an append-only file system, so all writes are out of place and can never touch previously written backup data. The data is fingerprinted when the backups are ingested. All internal cluster communications are through authenticated APIs only, and of course data is encrypted end-to-end. And this overall immutable architecture means that, unlike many traditional backup products, there just simply is no mechanism to tamper with backups once they've been taken. And this, of course, means that you've got these highly reliable backups to restore from, and that's the foundation for the extra value services that we can then start to provide from your Rubrik backups around things like the ransomware recovery capabilities that we're looking at here with Radar. So all data is stored in this immutable format. Ransomware can't encrypt or overwrite the backups, and there's always a clean recovery point to recover from, and therefore avoid having to pay any ransomware demands. And obviously the third pillar around this is, okay, you've detected an attack, you've seen exactly what's been compromised. The third part of our ransomware remediation plan is the speed of data recovery. So once you found out exactly which workloads have or haven't been affected, and you know that you've got good backups to recover from, the next question, of course, is how quickly can you do that? And with the traditional backup setup, that's going to include some combination of sorting through backup indexes, re-indexing tapes, manual scripting, rebuilding VMs, etc., all of which takes a significant amount of time and effort. And we've seen many UK organisations now, as Rob mentioned, take weeks or even months to recover, especially if they have to maybe pull everything back from tape still, and assuming that the ransomware hasn't got into their backups, which in many cases now it has, and it's simply just not feasible to recover from, and people are forced to pay up. But as you can see here with Radar, once you've been alerted, you can then quickly roll back to the previous recovery point using those highly reliable immutable Rubrik backups. You can simply select the file or files that you want to recover from the point in time before they were, messed around with, and then you can do an immediate in-place recovery to quickly restore those files to their pre-encrypted state back where they need to be to get the business back up and running, or you can recover them to a separate system somewhere else in your infrastructure that hasn't been affected. And equally, you can download the files directly through the browser and then maybe send them to the CEO or whoever urgently needs them back. So that's kind of the basis for that immediate, almost instant recovery from your Rubrik snapshots. But equally, as well as being able to restore individual files or folders, you can use the same interface to recover entire systems to a point in time just before an attack. So as you can see, you get this calendar view of all the immutable snapshots available for that machine, with various recovery options when you select a date to recover from. So if I just select a date before the ransomware attack happened, and you'll see that because this is a VM, I get various recovery options around a virtual machine, such as you can immediately export that VM as a new VM back to where it lives, an instant recovery. But equally, we have a feature called a live mount, which gives you the ability to restore a full VM clone in a matter of seconds back out over the network as an NFS share, with the storage hosted on the Rubrik cluster rather than on your infrastructure. So you can quickly get a system back online without affecting the production systems or impacting your network or your storage. And this process can be done in exactly the same way for databases and Windows volumes as well. So I think you can see here now how Rubrik can massively accelerate the time taken to recover from an attack compared with traditional backup setups. It gives you a very granular view of the impact of an attack and allows you to very precisely recover impacted files, folders, and also whole systems without having to do any manual differentials or restore full backups or full systems where you would need to manually analyze what's been affected, maybe pull back full backups over the network, manually rebuild servers, all that kind of stuff. All that stuff which takes time and effort that you probably really don't have on a good day, never mind when you've suffered a ransomware attack. And we aren't aiming to replace any security or intrusion protection systems that you might have, although when Radar won Best Security Product at VMworld last year, we were actually competing against many other dedicated security vendors, but instead it's a ransomware detection and remediation solution, which allows you to immediately find out about an attack and the scope of damage without it being able to pollute your backups, because we have these immutable backups, but then crucially to also quickly recover from the attack. So that's an overview of how ransomware detection and remediation works with Rubrik, and I'll hand back to Rob now for a summary. Lucy, are you able to hand back control to Rob, please?
Thanks, Juliet. So as Juliet's just run through there, the ransomware market is growing. It's a big issue for all our organisations that we're speaking to, and I think this does resonate really well with everyone that we discuss it with. Juliet did a really good job of sort of summarising those sort of three pillars that we look at and think that we can drive benefit through and value through this product. But just to summarise them, it's that instant recovery for ransomware, the immutable backups for defence, and the visibility into attack and how that is impacting the business and being able to give visibility and confidence back to the organisation that we can remediate from it. So what I'd like to say is on behalf of Rubrik, we hope you enjoyed the session. We'd be happy to obviously have further conversations around the product and anything else that you've seen today. But I'll pass on to Andy to summarise and go on next steps for the next session in a couple of weeks. So over to you, Andy.
Many thanks, Rob, and also thanks to Juliet there for taking us through those key features. We've only had time today to provide a really quick introduction to Rubrik Ransomware Protection, but I hope you found it valuable and you have gained some sense of where Rubrik is different and how their approach to ransomware recovery and protection is worthy of the accolades that they're already winning in the market. We have lots of additional information to follow on from this presentation, including technical white papers, case studies, and customer references. So we'd love to share more detail and discuss your specific challenges and priorities. So if you'd like to discuss any aspect of today's presentation, do please get in touch, either via your usual Q Associates contact or through the email address on the screen. That's rubrik@qassociates.co.uk. So looking forward to the next event in this series, we'll be running a live webinar on Thursday, the 25th of June, looking at database backup and the significant advances that Rubrik can bring in protecting your critical databases with maximum efficiency and minimum disruption. That's Thursday, the 25th of June, again at 9:30 a.m. And all of today's attendees should receive details by email over the next few days. Today's event has been recorded and will be posted on the Q Associates YouTube channel later today. That's Q Associates UK. And we will also be making the video available via our website over the next 24 hours. So it just remains for me to thank you all for attending today's event. I hope you found it to be both worthwhile and relevant, and we very much hope to see you again soon. Thank you.